What comment has a woman made to you that made you nope out of there? I'll start. My friend, 32F, was telling me about her friend and how she is vindictive. Apparently her friend would wipe back to front then initiate sex with her husband if he did something she didn't like. My friend laughed, which was when I knew that she was not mentally well. That isn't normal behavior at all. Ugh. Edit. I'm trying my best to answer comments but I need to sleep. I'll do my best to keep a fun thread. Have a great night. That's pretty idiotic because hubby would be pushing her unwiped ass remnants into her vagina. For the sake of vengeance, she fell on her own sword. For it is said that she who goes in search of revenge should dig 2 graves not one. BTW I live with 2 of my 3 ex-husbands, now. I seem to like dating, crazy, but number. Her. My grandmother is going on a cruise. Me. Good for her. Her. No way. She's spending my inheritance. One woman I was casually dating said that if she caught me looking at another woman, she would cut off my dick. I stopped seeing her right after that. Just knew her the day before. Was about to set up a date by phone and she literally told me later, you're gonna give me that engineer money and I'll buy a nice BMW while you'll be working for it. Yep. Nope. See ya. If you leave me, I'll kill myself. Lying ass hoe still alive. You need to delete all your female friends from MSN. Facebook wasn't really a thing back then. Showing my age here. I told her only if she did the same with all her male friends. After that she let that thought go. I should've seen that big ass red flag but I was 18, stupid, and I was getting some. Took me another good year and a half to finally see all the flags and we broke up. Was on a second date with a black woman, I'm white. She says I wish more black men lived around here. My brother's dicks were so big growing up. Your money is my money and my money is my money. She told me she wanted to go to a comedy show for our second date, but also she was in debt to a local cocaine dealer so she would have to do a few deals while we were there to pay him back. Knock knock. Who's there? Not me. I'd rather you hit me than leave. I left. I want a baby and I don't care who with. I ran far and fast from that one. A girl I was talking to in college once implied the career path I was studying wasn't going to be able to provide for her standard of living. As if I was going to change my entire outlook on life to please a girl I'd known for 2 weeks and hadn't even met in person yet. She told me she wants a man that treats her like the princess her father did. When I told her that I'm not her dad and I don't want to be, she threw her drink in my face. I just love sucking dick. Left the bar immediately with her. I had a girl tell me that a man paying is a privilege is to look manly. I told her, what? No, me being kind and generous is me being kind and generous. That is a privilege to the receiving party here. And she, no, a man need to pay to feel good about himself in front of others. Otherwise he will internalizes his negative emotion and be sad. And I looked at her with the utmost confusion before walking away. This was after a third date with a girl. I usually pay because I have a somewhat high wage and I want to be kind, and while I'm not expecting anything in return, I'm certainly expecting to be seen as someone who is generous and kind. But to be told that I am exerting a privilege for spending $120 on restaurant food which tastes worse than the food I cook for myself for $20, WTF is this? I'm not sure if I should be with you or go back to my ex. She was my first girlfriend so I was desperate and convinced her to pick me. Looking back, the ex was the winner for not having to deal with her. Brought a woman to my place on a second date. I was like 23 at the time. She sees my cat and says, I hate cats, put that thing out on the sun porch. I opened the front door and told her to leave. My cat was a very smug little girl the rest of the night. IONCW went on a first date wherein my date gave me a list of rules, and one-upped the shit out of me the whole time. Were I a less confident man, I might have felt awful about myself. Luckily I'm not, so I just felt awful about her. I come from a family of huggers so that was my move at the end of the date, even though it sucked for me. She stopped me and said no physical contact on first dates. It's a rule. And why no? By that point, I thought that was a great rule. She said I hope you'll call and I said bye. First week of talking and she asked I come to her city to meet her. It was apt a 30-min drive and I asked my female friend to drive me there since I don't have a car and she was gonna go to that city anyways. As soon as I arrive and meet her she pushes me away and says she can't be with me because I have a female friend. Keep in mind I was in a city I didn't know and she just left me there in the middle of nowhere over me having a friend for 3 years before knowing of her existence. She keeps sending me FLLW requests from diff accounts but just nope. A woman and I were talking in a good mood in a restaurant. A second later, the waitress bring a bottle of water and this woman started to yell her because we were in a private moment. It's cliché, but it's still true. Watch how they treat their server. That's how they'll treat you in a couple years. I was taken home by a very attractive young lady a few years ago. After we did the diddle, I said I needed to go because I was working in the morning. She said I could stay if I wanted because her boyfriend was on his way home, and she thought that he would like some of what she'd just had. You know, when you see in a film a guy hopping down the stairs pulling his jeans up with his shirt unbuttoned as he tries to get out as quick as possible? That was me. She wanted me to put my pee-pee up her boyfriend's poo-poo. I went to a midnight screening of a movie, and some drunk woman and her husband, didn't know who they were at the time, sat next to me. The woman started hitting on me and I kept rejecting her advances, knowing she was drunk and I also found her unattractive. Finally, she groped my crotch and, after I told her to fuck off, she says to me, "My husband says it's okay if we take you home and fuck." Her husband nodded. I looked at them, shook my head, and fled. Russian girl I visited told me about all of her previous boyfriends. Took about 4 hours. I couldn't face the weight of expectation so made an excuse and left. I don't like this thread because it makes me all the times a woman made a comment that should have made me nope out of there. First date, we get along pretty well and have a nice evening. Then the waiters changed, because of their shifts I guess. Our new waiter was a foreigner who was more fluent in English than German. When he said something and we didn't understand what he tried to say in German, he politely repeated it in English. She only replied with, "Speak German with me or go back home to your terrorist families." I stood up, paid my bill, gave the waiter a good tip and apologized for her behavior. I just answered this in another group. Smiley face. She looked at me and said, "If you can't handle me at my worst, then you don't deserve me at my best." I got up and left. Handle your own grown ass. My ex did IV drugs and now they won't let him donate blood? Isn't that stupid? AAAAAAND I'm out. I can't wait until we get married so I can finally let myself go. I think some wires got crossed and she accidentally said what she was thinking. Slite. Noped out of a therapist's office when she asked me if I enjoyed being sexually assaulted. You're weird. It's true but you don't say that out loud and in the crowd. LMAO. The mother of my children was getting angry with me one day and was trying to yell at me but just came out with "You're just fucking weird." That lives rent-free in my head now. I feel your pain. No, I'm fucking you. Me and weird are just friends. Another in the damn I shoulda said that bucket cheeky smiley face. Was on a first date with a girl. She had a good job. Told me anyone she dates must make more money than her. I'm pretty certain I made a lot more than her. So I just enjoyed the food, listened to her ramble on about some senseless bullshit the rest of the night, dropped her off and didn't answer her calls or texts after. Don't give me requirements like that. That's not how it works. When I was 16, my coworker and I were working in a sandwich shop talking about our preferences in potential partners. She lands on racial preference and after I tell her I don't have one she tells me that she only dates a certain color of men because her baby has to be that color because that color is the cutest. I'm mixed with that color. I hit the brakes and changed the conversation. I have nothing against people who gravitate more to one race or another, but I think there's a line between preference and fetishization. I was on a date once and I was telling this girl how I did photography and she went, "I love photography. Taking selfies is my passion. I aim to be on everyone's timeline at least 3 times a day." I said an emergency happened and left. Literally the minute we were done having sex for the first time, she says, "Do you think I'm crazy?" You don't think I'm crazy, right? The doctor put me on some meds but I haven't been taking them and I think I've been doing great." She said she liked to see her boyfriend get fucked by a dude, regularly. That was the end of that first date. Good for you, but also good for her. Being upfront about your preferences is the best way to find what you want, after all. I was on a second date and went back to this woman's house. On the date she was fine. Might have had 3 drinks out over a few hours, both of us drove. Once I got there I think she started sneaking alcohol and she got super stoned out of nowhere. Called me a liar twice after I said I liked the music she was playing. I tried to play that off, but was super confused and pretty over it at that point. But the real kicker was when I was getting ready to leave. I went out to my car to bring in the extra pizza from dinner. She announced that she would let me sleep in her bed with her, but she wasn't going to sleep with me because she was too drunk. We hadn't even done anything physical and hadn't been drinking at her house at all. I was hearing alarms in my head at this point. I said, "Actually I'm gonna leave." She got confused and when I headed to the door she said, "Oh, you're actually going to go? You meant that?" We did not keep in touch.